Hey Monica, how are you doing?
I'm good. Kimberly, how are you doing today?
Doing good, very good. As long as the tornadoes don't bring us bring me up to Oklahoma, it'll all be good.
Oh no.
Yes, so I am Kimberly Stratman with To the Point Coach. I coach high performing women, and I also help people that are retiring. Monica, introduce yourself again, please.
My name is Monica Eaton. I'm the owner and CEO of 50 Fierce and Fit, where I create customized fitness and nutrition programs to always help you to be fit for duty.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so we were talking about affecting change in our organization, and we decided that we wanted to try to affect change at it when you're an informal leader. So not like you're the chief or whatever, but you're an informal leader at whatever rank, but you're an informal leader and what you can do to affect change within your organization. Is that what you want to keep talking about?
Yes, I think that's a great topic. I think it's something that's very positive minded and forward thinking with a lot of the challenges that we're dealing with in today's policing world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go over just some quick things that each officer can do, or first responder can do. It's kind of like setting the scene for success. So, what I'd like for us to picture is when you have a crime scene or something that's occurred and you're securing that scene, you're making it safe, you're making it where the investigation can continue so you can get evidence and everything will go the way we want it to go. It'll be successful. We will look professional in the courts. We'll look like we know what we're doing and that we have done our job. It's the same thing when you're trying to affect change in your organization, whether it's a cultural change or it's an official organizational change. As an individual, there are things that we can do to kind of get the area around us, physical and mental, ready for the change. Now, I'm going to list these and not in any particular order. I'm just listing them. You want to find areas that you can help. So you want to be known as somebody who is helpful, not the selfish person, not the person who just comes in and takes the best of everything and moves on, but somebody that you're helpful. You actually care about your coworkers and your organization. And believe it or not, a positive attitude helps. This is a time when it is good to have a positive attitude, even when you're frustrated, even when things are going bad. That doesn't mean you have to be naive, but it just means that you need to have a positive attitude, a realistic but still positive attitude. And always take the opportunity to celebrate others. You want to celebrate other people's wins, other people's success, a good arrest, heck, a good attempt, right? You want to always celebrate that, and organizational wins also. And it's kind of funny. My husband's SWAT unit, they won an award, an annual award. And he's like, well, it's just this. I'm like, hold on. Y'all worked hard for that. And there are other organizations that would have killed to have units that would have killed to have won that award. So always celebrate others and your work unit. Be a mentor if possible. Doesn't have to be a big formal thing, but be a mentor, help people out. Now, this is a one that a lot of people think they have down packed, but know your organization, know the history of your organization, know why things occur as they are in your organization, know what the rules are and why the rules are there. Find out why the policy and procedures are there, and see, what has occurred in your community or in your department to make them necessary. Once you know your organization, you want to help others navigate the organization. All that information you have, all that knowledge you have, put it to use. Help other officers navigate the organization. And I'm going to go back to this one. It's like, are you a complainer? Yes, this goes along with a positive attitude, but are you a complainer? Do you know how to pick your battles? It's like crying wolf. Do you complain about every single thing and you don't ever fix anything? No one's going to listen to you when the time is right. So those are all the things that you can do to like informally change the environment that you're around to get the work environment ready for change. Now, as you know, I had a whole bunch of information on how to officially and formally change an organization. And I saw your eyes glaze over as we were discussing it. And as you pointed out, that's a lot of information for a patrol officer. That's a lot of information for maybe some of the newer officers. And that's not said with disrespect to anybody. It's just too much information for the officer who's just going to work, figuring out that something's not going right and wants to make some change. So I tried to, but it was hard, but I got it down to just a couple of them. And that is identify what is wrong, what needs to be changed. And that sounds really basic, but sometimes you have a gut feeling that something isn't right, but you don't know what it is. Always pay attention to your gut feeling. If you know that something isn't right, it probably isn't. So start looking into it. Start, asking questions. Start figuring out the history of it. Find out what's going on. Now, I don't believe that we gave the disclaimer that we were going to give at the beginning. And we are not talking if somebody's doing something illegal or dangerous. We are not talking about the violation of rights or the commission of crimes. We're not talking about that. You've got to bring that forward immediately. We're talking about the things that day in and day out you realize need to change. Maybe a rule or a policy is outdated. Maybe it doesn't fit the times, doesn't fit the community, doesn't fit the officers. So try to figure out why is the change needed. See if you already have the solution. Try to think of who the stakeholders are. And I'm going to stop right now because I just want to keep going. But that's a lot to think about. So identify the need for change, why the change needs to occur, who is going to benefit from the change, who's going to pay the price for the change, and who can actually help you affect the change. And there's a quote from a chief I used to work for. He's a chief now in another agency, an amazing, amazing man. And what he said was, if there is a rule, you need to follow it. If you cannot follow the rule, you need to change it. But you don't get to just break the rule. You don't get to just break the rule, change the rule. So there's that kind of condensed down a little bit. And Monica, this clearly puts a lot of pressure on an individual officer. What do you recommend that our first responders do to prepare themselves to create change?
Yeah, it's a loaded question, especially being a newer patrol officer, we'll say less than 5 years on. You're still figuring out the ways of the world, and a lot of those things you mentioned, like why things are the way they are, and asking questions and not always being able to find the right answer, especially when you're asking other officers who aren't really sure maybe, and not being confident enough to maybe reach out to a supervisor or somebody else who has a better answer for you. Because I was always the type of person that I didn't have to agree with the rule, but if I understood the reason behind it, I would at least be like, okay, like I can work with this if I understand why I'm doing it, not just blindly following something that doesn't make sense in my brain. So as far as showing up as a newer officer and really wanting to make a positive impact on your agency, it really starts from the individual level of making sure that you are showing up to work every day, being the best version of yourself. Because ultimately, if you are clocking in at work every day and you are not, like, you're spacing out, you don't feel good, you didn't sleep last night, you're not going to bring your best version of yourself forward to help your patrol shift that day. Or maybe you're in detectives or whatever unit it is that day, you're not really present. So it starts with nutrition, exercise, and mindset. With the nutrition, make sure you're eating your 3 meals a day, you're getting in snacks, you're not under eating, because if you're hungry or you're tired, your brain's not functioning very well. Another thing with overall brain function is staying hydrated, making sure you're getting enough water, because hydration helps your brain and cognitive function too. So making sure you're getting in good foods, you're not hitting the drive-through all the time, you're not eating a bunch of processed foods, because that affects your mood and your energy level too. And getting enough sleep is another one. I know first responders laugh when you tell them they need to get more sleep, because they're like, yeah, right, it's not going to happen. But seriously, you can make it happen. You can get your 8 hours of sleep. The majority of the time, granted, I know there's exceptions of working midnights and having to be up for training or for court or whatever, where you literally can't sleep. But 90% of the time, you should be able to get on a schedule where you're getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep in between life and other things that are going on too. Making sure you have consistent sleep, consistent food, consistent exercise is the other one. Movement helps the mind, it helps the body. For a lot of people, it's a great coping mechanism to deal with stress from the job, to deal with those scenes that you would rather forget. things like that. It's a way to work out that stress, as well as keep yourself physically healthy as well. And then the last piece is the mental health and mindset part of it. Make sure you're taking time for self-care. You're going on walks. You are being intentional about time with family and how you spend your time outside of work, because that's just as important of resetting yourself for being where you need to be when you are at work mentally. Journaling, meditating, seeing a counselor, talking to people if you have some more tougher traumas or things going on in life that you need to sort through. Really just taking care of yourself outside of work as much as you can. So when you show up to work, you are in peak condition, peak shape each day to deal with some of the challenges that might come your way as far as wanting to present that change, because it's really hard to show up and work a 10 or 12-hour patrol shift when you just flat out feel like crap that day. And you're probably not going to have the best attitude, and you're going to want to whine and complain. And that just starts from all of the controllables. So you're not setting yourself up for success if you can't hit those main 4 points outside of work. That way, when you get to work and you can put your best foot forward and say, okay, I'm going to have a positive attitude. I'm going to help out my coworkers today. We're going to be a team. We're going to hopefully try to improve morale by creating more of a team atmosphere. Because I think from a foundational level, if you have a more positive atmosphere, that's going to be a better environment to produce change and more positive outcomes. So it snowballs. It hopefully can snowball from you showing up, being your best and being positive, because energies are contagious. So if you show up with a contagious energy at work, you're happy, you're smiling, things are going well for you. Hopefully that positive energy catches on, because we all know, unfortunately, it's a lot easier to spread negative energy than it is positive. So it takes a little bit more intentionality to be positive and to show up somewhat, I don't want to say a crappy job, but more negative environments than positives, as far as the type of calls and stuff you're going on. Not just your work environment, but dealing with the bad side of situations and people, and continuing to keep your positive attitude and your positive outlook.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like we say, I think every video we've done, we say control the controllables, control the controllables. We want to have as many positives going for us, so that when the negative happens, that we're able to handle it appropriately. And when it comes to affecting change, there are a lot of officers say, well, that's not my job. It's not my problem. I just come serve my time and I go home. Well, you know what? Yeah, it is yours. If you're part of the organization, it is yours, and then a lot of times people, I don't have the time to do it. I'm not now. I'll do it later. I'll do it then, blah, blah, blah. And a big question to ask each of us, to ask ourselves in any situation in life, whether it's fitness and nutrition, whether it's our mental well-being, whether it's our rank, our assignment, anything, what's going on in the organization, is what's going to be happening 6 months from now if I don't do something today. And if you stretch that out to 3 years from now, and if it's 3 years in the future, how are we living? How are we working right now if we haven't done anything to make the improvements? It isn't going to be any different. It is going to be the exact same, except probably worse. Except probably worse. So that's just something to definitely keep in mind. I don't know of anybody who has ever said, wow, I wish I didn't get up and walk for 20 minutes. I don't know of anybody who's ever said, wow, I wish, I hadn't eaten that healthy meal. Wow, I wish I hadn't done some breath exercises today. Now, there might be some people who said, man, I sure kind of made it worse for myself trying to affect change. But ultimately, they knew they were right. And if they regroup and do some of the things that we talked about, maybe their next effort can be more successful. It is never wrong to do the right thing. It's never wrong.
Right. And I think looking at it from a bigger perspective, I mean, ideally we go to work 40 hours a week, and that ends up being 20 to 30 years of our lives. So I don't think anybody wants that time of their lives just to be absolutely miserable, for however many hours that adds up to. So it's still within your control to make the best out of that experience as you can, as far as, like you said, working to what you can control. and maybe if you find yourself in an environment that just isn't gonna fit for you long term, maybe that's when you decide to move on and move to a different agency or other things. But ultimately, remembering to control what you can, and that's your attitude and your mindset and your mental and physical health. You can't lose in life that way.
The computer. See, control the controllables. I didn't plan ahead. Yeah, but I agree with you completely, Monica. Thank you for stressing that for all of our first responders, because they're definitely worth it, and doesn't ever hurt to repeat something, because we want everybody to hear it and know that we mean it for them. So could you tell people how to get a hold of you, please?
So you can find me on Facebook through my Facebook group. It's 50 Fierce and Fit Group. 5 is written out FIVE-0, Fierce and Fit Group. I have accounts on TikTok and Instagram through that same handle, which you can find content there, but the group is probably the best way to reach me.
Okay, and they can look at all the stuff that you've been posting, the videos you've been posting, the information they can use daily. Then they can also reach out to you, and y'all can have a personal conversation, and you can find out how you can support them.
Yes, absolutely. Any specific questions, you feel like you're going through a challenge that you want to talk out. It doesn't necessarily have to be fitness, health related. Anything that I can help you with, I will absolutely do my best. And if it's a question that I can't answer, I will do my best to point you to somebody who can.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for that. You can find my Facebook page at Bold and Brave Women. And I also have a YouTube channel that this goes on all the time, and it's called To the Point Coach, To the Point Coach. And any of you that are looking into retiring anytime soon, I'm a retirement life coach also. And I have a website, a Facebook group that's called Let's Retire. And then I have a website that's called To the Point Coach. It has a yellow background with me standing there smiling. So let's think about this. Our next topic, how about we do things that you can do in the squad car or behind the desk to get yourself ready for the next call?
Yeah, I like that idea. I think we get too cozy sometimes in our patrol cars or our desks. So that's always a good reminder.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Monica.
Absolutely. Thank you.